who did Nerdist and IDT10.
Yeah, of course.
He just came back and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna make a new podcast. And I was like riding home listening to him talk about it, and he's like, yeah, like we did a bunch of it was great to have a podcast during lockdown, and then I just sort of absorbed all of these edit things because it was all over Zoom and it was too much. I didn't want to just subject my producer to like, oh no, you go, oh, you were first, and then he was like, I know, he's just like, you're busy, I can clean all this shit up. Like, it's just me at home in my pajamas, you know.
That's funny. Hey, not a bad gig though.
No, not
a bad gig, right? Especially in this, this world that we live in, entertainment world and everything. For me, it was just like, I think that this is a good idea just to get like, eyeballs on the algorithm.
Oh yeah,
and so that the algorithm could just toss you around a little bit, And I've learned a lot. That's I'm trying new things about like with how the framing should go for some people, but ideally I would have like 2 GoPros. You know what I mean? Because like we're just it's very like supposed to be minimal.
Yeah.
That's the whole goal of it. And even in this like setting, it's like, I mean, I know it's not really a studio, but I make my room into a studio.
Yeah.
Eventually I'll get a studio and have like 4 people lined up for one, But right now I think this works. So I like it. I'm a fan of it,
Well, it's super cool. I mean, like, I like haven't seen you in person in years,
Dude,
and then I come in since like, since we shot Destination Hollywood.
Yeah. When was?
But I walk in and I'm like, oh, this is John's headspace. It's sports, it's film. I'm like, got it. Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, this really does bring the Guerilla Film fam look to it all, right?
Sure,
Yeah. Sports and fucking Hollywood,
Yeah.
But like, I mean, I appreciate that because it's funny. Because sometimes I think about like, I don't know. Sometimes I think about like what it means to be a working professional, And then I'll watch these guys who have studios and have things, and they're just like, oh yeah, I had like 4 farts yesterday. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, what the hell is podcasting become? Like Mark Maron's retiring now. I don't know if you heard.
I saw he was like burnt out. I'm like,
yeah. I don't blame him. I mean, this is kind of like a ripoff of that show.
Sure.
So it's like, if you're wondering, what am I going to get into? It's that,
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those where I'm just like, okay, cool. He inspired me to get into the whole thing.
Cool.
I was like, yeah, sure, let's try it, and I don't know. I think that the approach for me has always been like, I want to talk to my peers, but my peers also aren't famous. So the trick is to talk to people who are just starting out, and we're basically getting our wheels turning right now. I mean, who knows what the fuck is happening with our industry? But here we are. So
this, if I've listened to anything over the years, I don't know. I'm mainlining podcasts, but it's like, and it's kind of a mix between, there's like fun ones like Armchair Expert, and then the rest is like TV film. Right. And you get people that are so high up in the upper echelons of entertainment that their perspective can be helpful, but sometimes it can be a little almost disassociating, where like my manager likes to name drop a lot of people, and he was like, oh, I was having lunch with so and so at CAA, and they think it's going to be a survive till 25, not exist till 26 kind of situation. And I'm like, and this was like 2024, and I was like, okay, cool.
What does that even mean?
I was like, optimistic, but also we're all stressed, like no one's business. So it's
nobody's working.
But it is nice to get any sort of gesture of faith or a statement of faith that, like, if that can trickle down to the people at the bottom, which is great. Not that we're like necessarily at the bottom. I think the key is to do our own thing. Like,
it's on us now. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, do you really believe in the whole like trickle down thing though?
No. I mean, not from now, because we saw with the contraction of the industry that like the company, the streamers, the studios, the networks, they are more than happy to just like, oh, you still like the reruns of our old show? Okay, cool. Let's put those front and center for you. Mm-hmm. Let's see how many Suits, not reboots, but like.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think this is going to be a Friends fall. I think let's just.
Right. Yep.
And that's cool because, like, I mean, if I think the TV film industry, like, we had a bubble, and I think it was very saturated with people that were like, it kind of coincided with the rise of like influencer culture. Mm-hmm. And I do not mean to sound like I have a chip on my shoulder about that.
No, please, yeah, go
but
for
like,
it. No, yeah, it's interesting.
There was this influx into Hollywood of like, I was hot shit in my hometown, and like, I look really, really good in clothes. Like, maybe even less clothes, but like, I'm gonna try to do this. So now I'm hawking aloe. I'm hawking this.
What happened
Dick
in that
Wolf
fish
show?
in the ocean? Yeah,
it's a lot of, and then not to mention like, we had so many sets where, I mean, there's so many shows, there's so many sets. Like, you've been on set, we've been on set, like wearing multiple hats.
Right.
But if you go to like the top level, it's, you have the guy that's watching the golf cart. You have the guy who's literally, my job is to assist Crafty.
Right.
Like, but there's already 3 crafty people. So like, you have kind of a made up job. And that is valuable if that person is like, I am here, you know, if that person is a go-getter and they're like using that to see how helpful they can be in other places, awesome. But like, there's a bunch of people who can just chill. And those are redundant kind of jobs. So like, this expectation that I think, I know I had a lot of friends who are struggling that went to film school, and they're like, oh man, I'm just gonna I don't know,
fly by the seat of my pants.
I'm gonna make ends meet. Well, I gotta
spin my wheels.
I thought I would have
do other jobs, gigs, bars, shit like that, Ubering. Yeah, no, trust me, I do it, see it, you know. But like, I feel like it's always been a variation of that. You know, I mean, one of my buddies who I interviewed, he was like the second or third episode that we had on this whole thing. And, you know, he's an older actor from New York.
Oh, cool.
And one of the things that he used to say is like, oh, it's hard living your life behind a shot glass. And I was like, oh, what the fuck does that even mean? But then he like goes deeper and he's like, oh, well, you know, I'd been bartending my entire life and supplementing that with theater work. And then, you know, he ended up moving out here, and then he ended up getting involved with the theater and meeting his wife from there, and blah, blah, blah. Then they got into a messy divorce, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, not cool.
Yeah, it's all on the episode. But the thing about it, though, is that, like, you know, the journeys are very different. I would almost rather say that I've lived a roller coaster experience of a life than the actual dream life that everyone's aspiring to have. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think that, you know, MTV Cribs is going to be calling anyone anytime soon. If you know what I'm saying? I don't think anyone's going to have the mansions like that we see all the time. Like, those are probably like unattainable, even though they're there. And they probably have a fuck ton of problems too. You know what I mean? Because they're so old. But like, I don't know, man. It's definitely a brave new experience, you know? Especially, like, recently I've had a lot of friends kind of feel like they're a little down and out. And they're like, maybe I should give up. And I'm like, don't. Yeah. Just use this as the flow, you know? You have your ebbs and flows. This is the ebb, but you got to flow through it and rise up and get back into that whole, you know, thing and hibernate a little bit, right? Yeah. But yeah, coming in hot already. I love it. No, I love it. This is what this is about, you know? No, this is great.
I had like a hard conversation with a friend who is
like today
or a couple of days ago. That was we went to school together for acting. They moved out here and they're just like so burnt out on the whole thing, and like they audition constantly and nothing happens, and then they have a stressful work job, like day job. And I until recently had a very similar thing. And I had to like I was able to take a step back, and I have things to work on. And it's like, you gotta take care of yourself.
Put
big the oxygen
time.
Mask on first.
Yeah, big time.
And so many of these survival jobs, I could talk forever about survival
jobs.
No,
please, yeah.
Like, it's a
big thing.
You are taking care of other people.
Right.
I've done restaurants, I've done fitness, and it's always like taking care of other people, making sure everybody's happy, and all that kind of stuff. And then it's like, and then if you have, you know, I've been in management, I've been as an employee, like, you're getting the squeeze no matter where you are.
You just recently quit your survivor job, right? Survival job, right? Because do you think that do you think that it's one of those things that, you know, eventually, what am I saying? Because I haven't, like, I don't even know what a survival job entails. I just have a bunch of different gigs, right?
Sure.
That's kind of how I look at it, you know? But I understand, though, because, like, my last restaurant job was in 2019, and then I started doing Uber and shit, and now it's, like, a mix of that with background and a bunch of other standing gigs and featured work and stuff like that. So it's, like, for you, what was that experience like, where you were just, like, working those jobs, trying to... you know, I mean, you're also writing and you're also doing a bunch of other things on top of that, right? So it's not just you're burning at every end doing that kind of stuff, right?
That was exactly it. And it's like, and I was getting burned out. It's like I got lucky where I had a very awesome I had an awesome team that I worked with. I had awesome people I ran a couple gyms, then one gym, and I had like really great people that were members. Mm-hmm. At a certain point, it is a business though, and there's just, especially if you're in management, like management was really eye-opening, whereas like, okay, that person who's my buddy, now they have a billing issue and I have to like now it's kind of awkward. Like I'm not going to make it awkward, but like I can tell like there is a film that has now been lowered over or some sort of barrier is now in between here. And that's kind of tough because it feels a little isolating. Like you can't be your whole dorky weird self with your employees because you are their boss and you have to be professional. And
it's tough. Yeah, it's a double life situation, right?
And then you have like your bosses who have their expectations of you. And I lucked out with really awesome bosses that I was in the trenches with before and like got it. And but I'm just trying to create space for good things to happen.
Right.
This is the first time I've been out of a full-time jobs, you know, since college.
No, that's great.
And it's like...
That's great. I mean, how old are you now? In mid-20s?
I'll be 31 in...
Perfect.
A couple weeks.
Congratulations, bro. Yeah, no, you look great for 30s, you know. I'm 35, and I'm like, all right, you know, let's do it. You know, we're still cranking it out. And there's no, like, expectation to the age, I don't think. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I think, like... a lot of people kind of put that on too high of a pedestal anyway. Mm-hmm. And so they think, well, I need to have all the boxes cleared at a certain point. And I'm like, but you're never going to really have that. Only like select people have that, but they were kind of like expecting all of that, right? Sure. Like we just are a bunch of knuckleheads running around Hollywood. That's basically it, you know? Like there's no rhyme or reason to what we're doing. Right. Arguably, it's a very selfish job, you know, but we're doing it anyway. And we love what we do. You know, I mean, you got a bunch of projects lined up. You just did you just did a short, right? And now you're doing a whole TV pilot. You're getting ready for that. And so, like, yeah, I mean, what's going on, like, other than, you know, like, how is this paradigm shifting for you, you know?
Well, it's exciting. Like, I've worked now I have a bunch of people I've, like, worked on shorts with and either acted with or, like, co-written things with or both, and now it's kind of like, okay, let's keep building it up. You know, like I have friends who I think will just make short films and hope that one of them pops off and they get noticed and they get funding for stuff. And it's like, okay, like I don't know. We set out to make this project right now as like we came up to like it really came about in a really cool way, which was like my frequent writing partner and I have the same talent manager. And he, in the spirit of these artist salons from the 50s and the 40s, decided to get like a bunch of his clients and then a bunch of people that weren't clients but were like filmmakers and writers all together in one room and just like spitball ideas or just get to know each other. On the second meeting, we were linked up with a guy I knew from acting class years ago, and he's like, hey, I have a massage therapy studio if anybody was interested in ever filming there, you know. And me and my buddy Kale were like, really tell me more. And then like we went off and came up with an outline. He was like, heck yeah, let me know how I can be involved. So it snowballed from there. And that was February was the first time we all sat down like that. And then we had an outline a couple weeks later. The pilot was like done in April, and then we were like, okay, end of May. Wow. Okay, maybe not. in the last few weeks, it was like, okay, to do all these, we got a DP through the connections our manager helped to line up, and then it was like, okay, let's think about crowdfunding this. So that was a new avenue for me. To this point, it's just been out of pocket. Like everything we did.
Of course, yeah. That's how it's gonna be for until Hollywood gets its shit together, right?
And we were like so down to do it. We were just like me and Kale have a very similar attitude, which is like, let's find whatever we have. Like the last short we did together, we went to his hometown. We found Northern California, where people are so nice, so willing to help out.
Yeah.
We used
never seen anything like this.
ranch. We found a local business that had a sedentary tank.
Oh wow!
And we shot a period spec World War II short film.
What was this one called?
It was called Beyond the West Wall. It's based on a true story of these.
I didn't see that on your IG profile.
I should post about that.
Yeah, you should, because I didn't see it, because I'm like, where the fuck is this? This sounds amazing.
I reposted Quake Proofing, which was like coming out of lockdown. My friend Meredith and I went to college together. We were like, we need to do something, so we got together with our other friend, and we were like, well, let's just start making things. And so that was when I say it was like,
that's the precipice. That's the planting seed. So you, I mean, really, in terms of like, because when I met you. How did we meet?
It was on Meetup. I was thinking about this on the drive.
It was on Meetup. Okay, yeah.
So
you worked with Peter and James, and then we did that. And then because you just moved out here when we did that. Oh, you must have, right?
Absolutely. That was I forget how I was free, because I think I still had. I moved out here for an acting program, so it was either the fall of 2018.
Okay.
Or the summer of that.
It was around that time, yeah.
Because, somehow I was able to do 2 days on that with you guys.
And literally, it's like, that's a project I talked to Peter a lot. And I'm like, where the fuck is it? Where the fuck is it? Like, they haven't even posted it. And it's like good work from everybody, you know? And I was really proud of it. I was happy for it. And then, I don't know, it's just they became so preoccupied in their next project.
Sure.
And it just became about that next project. And that was one of those things where I'm like, oh, dude, like, because it's a horror idea. Yeah. So it'd be really hot to do, but, you know, what are you going to do, right? You can't win them all, you know, but that's what happens sometimes, you know. It's hard enough because we're not studios. Like, it's hard enough to actually start figuring out how to make it. Then you make it, and you have it, and you're like, okay, cool. The how do I put it out part?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
That's a bitch and a half.
So, like... You, me, Peter, James, you know, I'm associating myself with you guys, but if I call myself a filmmaker, you guys are definitely filmmakers. You wear a lot of hats, and you were trained to do all those just to get it done.
And you consider yourself more of an actor?
Actor and writer for sure, and like having directed some things, like I can tack that on. Right. But then I'm like in company like this, and I'm like, you know. That is the shortest part of my resume. But yeah, most of my training, most of my background is in acting, and then writing is what I spend like all of my free time doing. So
I mean that's excellent, you know.
Like actor by training, writer by practice.
But at least you're like, you know, using that creative muscle every day. You're you know, chipping away at it, you know.
What I was going to say is like we have this it's fair to say I think we're all very well-rounded. And, like, sometimes within that, there is, like, oh, I need to do this all myself. And, like, you might need to just have have your producer friend think about festivals and, like, think...
no, it's so true. Yeah.
Or, like, if you have a very niche thing and you're like, this is going to go to... I forget what they're called. I forget what, the specific one is. But, like, all these, like, midnight horror... film festivals. Yeah. Great. But like if you just have kind of a straight down like a drama short, like there are so many things you can do and it's overwhelming. So it's like you can be obsessing over how to get it out there, but just make the best thing and maybe and then just, you know, break the seal and do it.
Seriously. I mean, when I started doing all of this, I mean, if at one point it became, I hate editing. And so I had to learn how to actually do that and learn to like it, you know? And then, you know, when you study that a little bit, you're like, okay, cool. I guess the idea of like juxtapositioning and telling stories non-linearly helps, but like, you know, what else is there and what else could you do with it? And now it's more like a video game for me. you know, and it just feels more like natural that way, you know. That's always my kind of outlet, you know what I mean? Puzzle piece, you know, everyone's going to put their own spin on it, right? But the idea of like relinquishing and control and actually divide and conquer and delegating jobs and understanding that, oh yeah, okay, well, you know, editing is a job, and you know, producing means more than just making sure that it works and making sure that they get all the locations that they need. It's also the post-production and the festivals and the marketing and the blah blah blah. And you know, it's as if like they have teams at studios who do this shit. You know what I mean?
This is almost like someone's full-time job somewhere.
Yeah, no, this is multiple people's full-time jobs. Yeah, and unfortunately it costs a lot of fucking money to actually like get those, you know, seeds planted into people in other countries, let alone just America, right? So it's like, I don't know, it's hard to compete, but I do agree that everything's going on a different format. My whole thing is like, I think that distribution itself is changing in a degree where it's like, we don't really need all the flashy equipment anymore. I mean, we're doing this with an iPhone and a GH5. So it's like, you know, it's definitely one of those things that it's possible. Now, the bigger the stakes, the larger the stakes, the higher you have to go with it. And I think all that just comes in time. You know what I mean? Like, you're not really, I don't really think anybody's going to get the keys to the Ferrari anytime soon, you know, at like with like no pedigree to show for. I think a lot of it comes from like, if you're coming out of like AFI or if you're coming out of USC or like these top tier film schools, that's a different story than just doing it in a room, and you know what I mean? So, but I don't know. I feel like, again, you know, you brought up a great idea about influencer culture earlier when we were talking, you know, you briefly mentioned that, and it's just like, it's all kind of like doing this weird thing where it's like also AI is kind of like right in the middle, you know, riding everyone's ass, you know? And so it's interesting on how like the way that we consume media now, you know, podcasts, vertical format, I mean, we've seen a lot of that shit, right? What makes it so that you go from producing your own stuff to eventually working on stuff with like Ethan Hawke, for instance, right? Like how does all of this, like what are we, you know, because I always ask the same question: what the fuck are we doing, and why are we doing this? Why are we doing this to ourselves? What is ultimately all of this for? You know what I mean? It's this like weird existential question that I have. And I think it's just me yelling that out in the whole ether, because really I know what we're doing. We're throwing darts at a board and seeing what fucking sticks, right? But so far it's like you gotta get really lucky to get anywhere in that cork zone, you know? So I don't know, man. Like, how do you feel about where we're at? You know, like what we're all doing and everything. I mean, what you know, because like you're working your ass off, man.
Trying.
Yeah.
I mean, you say it's I feel like this is a process, like I kind of alluded to before, it was very saturated for a while. It probably still is. Yeah. And it's going to be a painful time where I think some people will leave. They always, when we were going to school, I have a BA in theater. I didn't go to a conservatory. I went to a liberal arts. I got a liberal arts degree.
You want to shout it out?
Oh yeah, Loyola Chicago. go Blurs.
Loyola Chicago. I think a friend of mine went somewhere. She's in Chicago now.
Oh heck yeah.
Yeah. That's great. No, how did you enjoy it? Did you like it?
It was awesome. Yeah. It got it was I wanted / was heavily encouraged to get a well-rounded education, and then going to a place where I could study theater, political science, do Greek life. I had tons of different.
You did everything.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. And
the whole college experience, right?
I was in a play. I was in a play outside of school during college, during my senior year. Like, you could do that. It was very accepted for like, oh, where did all the seniors go? Oh, there's an EPA. They're all auditioning for something today, or like hoping to audition. They're all sitting in a room hoping there's an empty spot. I think this is going to be I think we're in a painful period where like, if what they always said was like, if you could see yourself doing anything else and being happy, do it. Because there's so much you're going to subject yourself to, so much rejection, and like that is hard.
That's kind of what I mean by riding the wave, and you know, and just embracing the no's, right? I mean, you kind of have to.
There was like so many things you get. I don't know. You can't you can do your best to plan, but and there are steps. It's like I know all the steps in front of me that I want to skip. Right. And I think that's the attitude to have, which is like, I'm not entitled to jump to the head of the line. I know there's going to be a line. And I know eventually people will move on or they'll become unavailable and then my time will come. How I got into... So, like, when I did the Ethan Hawke movie, Wildcat, that was coming out of lockdown. There was a big... As the industry opened back up again, and we were still kind of at the height of peak TV, peak production everywhere, there was, like... They were constantly like it was like a big push toward the end of 2022 with auditions and stuff. So like I I'm sure it's a situation where like we couldn't get so and so, we got to this one, I auditioned for a role and then I because I have Midwest reps, I have Chicago reps, I have a Midwest agency, and then I have my LA team. So like I have my bases covered. Stacked. That is more or less like
you're good to go, dude. That's fucking wild.
I'm here. I'm covered.
Yeah.
That, and as an actor, it's kind of a traditional thing. Like I'm still making stuff on my own, which is non-traditional, I guess. But the whole like you get an audition, crush it, turn it back in, wait, get a call back, crush it, do it, boom, then you show up on set. Like that is cut and dry. We all kind of know that story. But like the Ethan Hawke thing was really cool because it was like, all right, there's a lot of productions. This one is going to shoot in Louisville. And like we have now, so now we're in this thing where like it isn't just the coasts. It's Louisville, it's Charlotte, it's Cleveland, Cincinnati. It's all these like littler markets. And that's awesome. So these little tiny productions or smaller productions pop off that are like 10, 15 million. We don't have that like mid-budget $40 million crime drama anymore. Yeah. That's a TV show.
Yeah.
But they have these movies, and these are all like people's passion projects. Like Ethan and Maya Hawke like collaborated on this because it's Flannery O'Connor. The subject is a person they were both really passionate about. It was cool for me because I like grew up reading her in high school, so like that was like assigned reading, and then this came up and basically, I auditioned for a role and then didn't hear about. And then they said, "Well, actually, what if you read for this one?"
Yeah.
And then and I was like, "Oh well, I got a call back. A, B, and it's great.
Wow.
Just fantastic." And then I booked it and showed up, and it was like, "Wow, this is really special."
No shit. When did all this happen? Like, when did you audition for it? Right after lockdown?
I auditioned in like December of 2022.
Wow.
So I booked that, and I booked this other film that shot in Cleveland in about a week or two period.
Oh my god! Yeah.
And then I shot both of my bits on those films within 8 days.
Wow, good for you, man.
That was early 2023. So I think Wildcat premiered last May 2024.
Wow.
And then this other movie is a holiday movie. It's a really sweet film called Lost and Found in Cleveland. And like that's now doing the festival thing. I'm sure it'll end up on a holiday streaming service.
That's really cool. That is really cool.
That was a wild experience. And it was cool to your job. Like as an actor, your job. You just got to show up, do your lines, be kind to everybody, have a good time. And
that's what I tell everyone. It's a waiting game. They pay you to wait. Like it's such a luxurious feeling, It's the best in the world because like you're literally, and also too, you can watch them set up the shot. Like that's my favorite thing to do is just observe and and like it's a different animal when you're actually working on it. When you're actually working on it, but you're not background on it. You're actually giving it your all and doing all that kind of stuff. Like that opportunity is very rare, and I'm so stoked that you had it though.
To go back to the hustle though, I'm sitting in my trailer on both of those, my dressing room. I'm doing emails. I'm sending like CRM texts.
No shit.
I put in 40 hours a week.
Wow.
The whole time.
You're fucking just rocking it, dude.
It was just like, oh man.
But what are you, a lot of times, like, what are you emailing for? Is it for other projects or is it just emailing writing buddies? I don't know. I'm just curious. Is it more business or is it more creative?
That was my day job at the time.
That was your, I see.
So I still had to like,
oh my God.
It was like, I just got a promotion.
You're doing all that in the background. Holy
it was like, hey, thank you for the promotion. Also,
No wonder you
I gotta go for like 2 weeks.
No, seriously, no wonder you quit. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it was that was definitely trying because I was also fresh in this new thing and was but having a salary position, having a lot of responsibility was cool in a certain way. The last like year and a half I had a pretty predictable schedule, so I was able to get back to writing really consistently. Still not as much as I wanted to because of the actual demands of the job, but there was a ton of growth though that came out of it, and like it's not throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks, but it's like what can I use these skills for? So like my communication really leveled up. Like I had to get organized or I would or my body would shut down. Like
came up with a regimented schedule.
I had to figure out how to take care of my basic needs during a very crazy weird fluctuating schedule. Adulting stuff. And it's like and also while satisfying a bunch of people, like the people below me, the people above me, and then the people that we're facing. Like so that headspace, I'm like, okay, this is something I would like, or like these skills I think I would like to be able to transfer to entertainment. So, well, I mean, we'll see, but
no, I think that, well, you just mentioned like a bunch of like super important things that, I mean, character building is important, I think like, I don't know, living the life before you actually live the life, right? You know? I've heard that from so many different people, and I'm just like, you can't really just jump into this. I mean, like they're finding all this talent that's already young, like whoop-dee, but is that really going to make you a good actor or have longevity? You know what I mean? And really, I think that like taking these really shitty opportunities to make something of yourself, I mean, hell man, you're already several legs up in so many other people's eyes, I feel like, because you have the different types of reps and the different types of like a team building thing, right? As far as like, I mean, I just literally got let go by my commercial rep last couple weeks ago.
Oh man.
Because I didn't have the money to pay for casting networks, and I didn't have that set up yet, and they weren't giving me any auditions, and so it was just like, well, we're gonna have to let you go. And I was like, all right, cool. And it's all commercials, and I'm SAG, so it's just like, what the fuck? I'm just like, ugh. So it's just a matter of like, some people have their shit together, a lot of people don't, but it's just like, hell man, it's more of an international game now, right? Would you agree? I mean, it's like you kind of have to have multiple areas of like in the know about you, because like, country's huge, right? Yeah. So I think having an agent in the Midwest and in Los Angeles, that's more of a good thing, right?
Oh, than a absolutely. Hindrance. Yeah. You got to like diversify your opportunities, because it's a self-tape market, and you can be...
It's fucking crazy, yeah.
You can be the best person in your town.
You're so right.
And if they're not shooting something in your town, crap. Like,
You're so right. Yeah, no, it's such a good point.
So, I'm from Indiana, and I have an agent there. I still have my same reps from like right when I graduated from college in Chicago. And then it took me the longest time to get reps in LA, because that is a very saturated market.
Right.
And, but like...
Did it help that you already had people over in Indiana and Chicago?
I had my Chicago people, then I got my LA people, then I got the Midwest.
Okay.
I had a different agent in LA when I got the Midwest. So it definitely helps to have... Yeah. It helps to have people vouch for you. That's why we have resumes. That's why we have references. Like, just to have... Okay, this person he plays well with others. Great.
But I mean, you've been acting for like over 15 years now, right?
I mean, if you count if you don't count college, then it'd be just shy of 10. Really? So like, I've been out of school almost. I've been out of school 9 years.
Yeah, so I mean, but to be fair though, like, okay, so like a decade, but that's still a decent amount of time. Because I mean, a lot of people feel like they're running out of time.
Oh, sure.
So are you ever running out of time, or are you always on time? I think is the
no. That's when I entered the workforce, really really gung ho. I was doing I was jumping at everything. I was doing all the things and burning myself out quite quickly and burning through all of my money quite quickly. Restaurants, Uber, Lyft, all the whole thing. And like,
were you breaking even constantly, or were you making money at least?
I mean, through the day jobs, but like through, not by doing a bunch of theater and improv and
not by doing the things, the things you want to do. Yeah.
It was like, if I wasn't in a play, I was in a class, and that was kind of my mentality. And that's actually like, that's taking you out of the shifts you could work, and it was a juggling act, and that was hard.
Yeah.
But so I struggled, and then of course you don't get the things you go out for, and you're like, what the fuck? I have a degree. So there's a certain degree of entitlement. Anybody who goes to college and has trouble getting employment afterward is going to be like, wait,
what the fuck?
Was it this vocational training, or was I just like expanding my mind and crap?
Right. So, what was that all for?
What was it for? And like, and I think it is, though, how
David, it's the connections along the way.
No, it's like, I'm really glad I went to college. I was just talking with my friend Meredith the other night when we were seeing a play, and we were both so glad that we went to undergrad, and we got to get our feet wet while getting an education and learning how to make deadlines and all this stuff. Before just like showing up in LA.
Oh my God.
We would have had a terrible time.
No, it's so true, because I thought about that too. My mom pressured me to move out here like when I was like 17. Wow. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready. You're gonna be a
star, Johnny.
She literally said, her whole thing was like, let's go, because we watched Entourage all the time. And according to Entourage, you just go out there, But the whole consequences of coming out here, without knowing anybody, I mean, I would have been a much different person. But, because I needed that time when I was in North Carolina just to kind of get my feet wet. But I was learning all production technique, and I was learning theory. I was learning, because I stepped away from acting and I came back to it, within the last 5 or 6 years. And all of a sudden the journey just kind of came to a complete kind of, and now I'm like, okay, cool, I'm doing this now, but I'm also several years behind the curve of other people, but I don't think of it as a con, because then I look at people like Sam Elliott, then I look at people like, even, I mean, shit, man, Tim Robbins and all these guys who are like literal, raconteurs, Mark Ruffalo,
John
perfect
Hamm.
example. Yeah. All these guys, they're acting, but they're using it in a much mature light. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of like performing, and in terms of like, because like, I mean, we've heard the Groundling story a million times. I don't really have any aspirations. I think I'm a funny guy. I don't have any aspirations to write joke material, like at all.
Sure.
And if I was in a situation like the Groundlings, I'd probably be kicked out, because I'd be the worst one ever. You know what I mean? And just like my sense of like dark humor doesn't really translate to like that, because I think of like, even with Destination Hollywood, I still thought of that as a very long-winded joke. Like the guy's looking for his girlfriend, but she's really a mannequin.
Yeah.
And these other dudes, they're tripping on Hollywood, but is it really real? And so it's like a lot of these things, it's just like, maybe other people don't get it, but to me, I understand where it comes from and where the whole kind of, but that's just from, I guess, craft building, and just building on the material that you've been working on. And so, but yeah, I mean, it's different for everybody, right?
Dude, like you asked a question a while ago that was like, do you feel like you're on time, or are you late?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, like you're right on time. You're going to find your way back or into different things whenever you're ready. Exactly. And sometimes we find our way into things that we're not ready for, and that's okay. But like, that's called trying things and failing. But like, think all those people that came into acting, or, the overnight success when they're 51.
Right.
And they've been working since they were 15.
Of course.
They've been trying the thing.
Yeah.
But all of a
Morgan
sudden,
Freeman, he was doing theater for years. Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, look at this fully formed human.
Right.
They have no ego. They can just show up and do that thing.
Yeah.
I want him.
Yeah.
And like, having a background that's really eclectic and like understanding how to tell a story, and then you plop yourself in front of the camera, like,
exactly,
you're great. Like,
no, seriously, yeah.
Acting is being a human in sometimes inhumane circumstances. Like if you're like having an intimate conversation when there's 20 crew people around you. Like, that's not like how we have intimate conversations,
Right.
And but like, if you're of a certain level of maturity and have a certain level of life experience that you can like, you're like, no, I know what that feels like. And then you can get into it.
Yeah,
man. That's
part
awesome.
of why I'm filming this, actually, part of why I put cameras in front of us is so that we get more comfortable in front of the camera.
That's awesome.
That's just a theory I have, right? Because I think that a lot of it is the connectivity of the two people. I think that a lot of it is just like, this.
Yeah.
Like, of course we do like Meisner and shit to like better understand the lines, better understand who we are, where we are, blah, blah, blah. But I really do think that the whole purpose of those techniques was to make you just shut up, but also communicate with the other person, and then do this kind of stuff. Because, I've noticed little nuances even when it's like at first, like I was like cutting all these up and then having it be a shot by shot by shot, right? Instead, now I'm taking the two widescreens and I'm split screening them. Because you could see the reaction on people's face, you could see them thinking and their gears turning as it's happening in real time. And I think we're kind of lost. We need to kind of get back onto that very nuanced kind of thing. Because like when we see that shit in like movies now, like, I mean, I don't know, like the most recent thing you saw, but like if you see it in like movies like, The Brutalist or even like Wicked, it's still the same structure. It's still the same, process that they're going through. But you're right, though. There's too many fucking cooks in the kitchen all the time. How do you concentrate, If anyone else were thrown into those situations, they would lose their fucking mind. They wouldn't even know what to do, Have
you seen the thing of Tom Selleck as Magnum PI, where it's like just him just like finding the camera and like he's just like he's doing his thing. He's just like...
Yeah.
And it's him just finding the camera over and over. And it's brilliant. Like the camera's the best friend thing. That's something that like I wish I could remember. I wish I could figure out or feel out or whatever I have to do for that. I think like, I mean, I'm good with just locking it with my scene partner.
Yeah.
And that is fine.
Of course.
But like, yeah, camera tech. And then there's camera technique, which is like, I'm probably the most used to now getting my iPhone and just like pointing it at my face and like having a conversation with the person just slightly off camera.
People are doing that really well. Yeah, no, they're doing that.
That's fine.
It's a thing. Yeah.
I get where that's my best friend, but it's when I'm on set. To be honest, I kind of forget the camera's there for better or for worse.
I feel the same way. Yeah,
there's little things like the cheating out, like the camera's over here. You can't be thinking over here, and then it's like, yes, I can remember to like have that thought over here. But like when people are like, oh, the camera's your best friend, like Michael Caine whole thing, I'm like, man, great. Like,
yeah, I know, whatever works for you, right? Like, yeah, I know. Because like I've never been one, like if I know where it is, I'm just like, fuck, I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna fucking look at it, and I know that's like okay at some point, because you need to look like slightly off. Make sure you stare at the fucking X on the fucking monitor, or whatever it is, or on the map box. But like, I'm just like, why are we doing this? You know what I mean? Please, no.
I mean, if you buzz the lens,
I get it. I just don't want to be that guy who is like in those zones. And then they go, hey, cut it out, It happened to me. I was like doing background on Matlock, and it was like a jury scene, and I'm sitting there, and I'm into the thing. But naturally, when I'm into the thing, I tend to go like this. And they were like, don't do that. And I was like, what? You. Yeah, you. Me? Well, fuck.
Because you covered your face?
Just because I did this. I did this. I did, But it was a slight like understanding pose, right? Like, but it was like kind of akin to like the whole. But it's like hands on face, right. But it's like I'm not indicating. I'm actually
gesture, kind of.
Yeah, but I think that's how it was interpreted. But I wasn't really doing that. I was just like, I am interested. This is how I look when I'm interested at something. You know what I mean? And they interpreted it as like, you're covering your face. I'm like, you're not going to fucking see me. I'm background anyway. You're not going to use this take, but I will play ball. And I did this instead. And it was boring, but I still was just like, whatever, dude. It's not my show, right? But I don't want to be that guy in that zone. And they go, cut that out. you know, and be like, huh, you know what I mean? It's like scary, you know.
How does act? Actually, I want to like when you just show up to act. How does it feel versus when you're acting and directing it, or you've written a piece? Because that's something now. Like, if I'm acting something, probably unless it's an audition, it's probably something I've written until recently. You know, except for a few things.
I mean, you know, when I've done like my own projects, I think that I'm a little less anal retentive about what people want to do or think. I kind of think that it's like, you know, what the script is for me anyway. It's just like the backbone. Like we have to pay attention to the script, but like it's okay to deviate a little bit. Yeah. You know what I mean? I've worked with other people who go, no, you can't. And they're very just like, you have to do it by the book. You have to do it line by line. And I'm like, okay, I understand that. So it's like for other people's stuff, I try to be as off book as possible.
Yeah.
There was one project where I was doing it was like a Halloween thing, but we did it in like the middle of July. Yeah, but it was still nice outside though, and it dropped like 50 degrees overnight.
Oh, just kidding.
And it was really fucking nice, but nobody alerted anyone. I mean, you know, I know logistics, and they were like, call time is 3 p.m. And I'm like, oh, fuck. They're going to go all night.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody got the hint.
Oh, so they
And we hadn't even shot a frame around like 7 or 8 or 9. Yeah. And I'm just like, yep, this is what we're doing. And they felt pressured. And I'm just like, you guys don't even understand like what time is, let alone, you know what I'm saying? And so literally like mutiny started happening around like 2 a.m. or so. And then we finished and got home. I must have got home at like 4:30 a.m. that night, you know, the next morning.
Which when you look at that, that's like, oh, okay, let's
not
do a
bad,
13-hour day.
Yeah.
If you had planned, if you knew to expect that, that's fine. But
I
like,
knew to expect that, but I was also like in the back of my head, I just knew that it could have gone a little bit smoother, you know? But it's all like, you know, nobody really knows that drama, and I'm sure the movie's fine, right? Yeah. But nobody knows the drama that we put into it, only we know, you know? So, I don't know, I feel like if you can kind of like keep like a solid head on your shoulder, always say, hey, you know, go with the flow, please and thank you, be courteous, you know, you never know what the other person's going through on that end of like trying to create something, you know, whether it's like trying to create a small world or trying to create a scene or trying to make it's fucking hard, you know, and most people don't really know like a lot of the basics of like, hey, we're gonna put the camera here or whatever, or and then it takes a long time to set up. What's your endurance like? You know, are you burning yourself out because you're talking to everybody?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or are you really just kind of like trying to stay locked in and then do your makeup and then you have all that fucking downtime, like you're in your trailer sending all those emails, you know, and then you're literally but you're also like trying to stay in the zone, you know? And a lot of times for me, it just kind of used to just show up, you know?
You kind of answered my question, which is like, I think...
It's a long-winded one, I know.
No, like it sounds like having the filmmaking background, like you kind of understand your place as an actor who is like a part of the process.
Yeah.
When I started out, before I was like really getting into writing, before I was really like trying to make things with my friends in LA, it was like, no, I'm going to like sequester myself and just feel my feelings. I did a
like a method kind of thing, right?
I mean, yeah, kind of. I can't claim I'm not really method, but like, if like I did this really really cool thesis, USC thesis. Shout out to Grant Ron. And it was called Sad Orangutans Rob a Bank.
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
We were wearing like Planet of the Apes makeup, and it was so cool. I was playing like a depressed yuppie orangutan humanoid hybrid thing.
Oh wow!
And it's supposed to be kind of like a very dry satire, and then we rob a bank. Like a bunch of unhappy rich kids who decide to rob a bank.
Dude, that sounds amazing.
But like I dove so deep into this like the characters or the trauma that I was like fucking depressed. And like and then I look back and I'm like, I am not fucking funny. And like maybe I wasn't supposed to be. Like the people that were not the main character really pop and they're really fun. And I am a sad little orangutan robbing a bank. Like, so maybe it was okay, but like through the whole, I was like off to the side. I was listening to like all the songs that give me all the feels, and then now it's like
they're like, who's this crazy guy?
No,
He's
like,
getting depressed.
They're like, bring him in. Like,
was it supposed to be a comedy or what?
It was a comedy, yeah, but
really?
it was like a satire. So it was like there's some tender, sweet scenes, and then there's also like quippy, bantery, heisty scenes, like quick cuts, and like
maybe that's the whole point of it. Maybe, but maybe it was like being free within the world, right? Maybe he's trying to give you like, you know, like your whole, you know, Resin's due of like just, okay, cool, we're gonna have him go all out. You know, if he wants to be depressed, be depressed.
I definitely did. So
that's fucking crazy.
But like now, like I shooting the thing with Kale Beyond the West Wall about the World War II soldiers, and then the previous year with my friend Meredith, that was just like us in my apartment, and it was like just a rom-com kind of silly thing.
Yeah, and that's Quake-proof, right?
Yeah, it was Quake-proof. Yeah. So it's like,
was that made for COVID specifically, like just because it's all in one location, or
it was made? I wrote that in 2019 to do something with Meredith. And yeah, to keep it kind of simple, I wanted to do just like something I could do in my apartment.
Sure.
And then like 2 years later, it was like, no, let's do this now. Like, it was kind of like, David, do you have any scripts? Tyler, do you have any scripts? And I was like, I have one. I will go first.
Nice.
So we worked on mine first, and then Meredith had a short that, like, she wrote a doctor's office short right after that.
Oh, cool.
That was just one of the funniest things I've ever read.
No shit. Nice.
So
you guys have a good collaboration going on.
Oh yeah, like Meredith's producing Under Pressure, the pilot. Kale and I are filming. It's like Kale and Meredith. Shout out to you guys. Are just like the two most hardworking people I know. So and like, but within that we have now just like a huge cohort of like hustlers, and like we get it. We're doing it like zero ego. Just like we want to make fun things that. It's like we want to make the stuff that we enjoy that also has like that also would matter to a stranger, and I think that's the balance that we're trying to strike right now. Is like this thing we're doing is the theme is like everybody's going through something. So we have a location, and we're like, okay, it's kind of a funny premise. Like, what if we had like a stressed out owner of a wellness studio, and it's like, okay, why is he stressed out?
So you're basically doing all of this like you're essentially, I mean, you guys are a bunch of actors basically creating a world from scratch using, you know, ingredients that people are just handing over to you. Like, oh, I have a massage parlor. I have, and then you're creating it from total scratch, though.
Well, it's like they always say like, start with what you have.
Of course, yeah.
It's write what you know, which is.
But that's all you have, though, right?
It's like, okay, what do we have at this moment?
Wow.
And it's like, we have apartments, we have cars.
Yeah, exactly, right.
When you know you're lucky if you have equipment,
but no preconceived story other than that.
Well, it was like. We want to do this like the best things happen because there's a spark,
right?
And then it starts a fire.
Oh yeah.
Like so both of these last two things I did with Kale, like it was like, whoa, he's like, what if we did this? And would you be interested in doing it? And I'm like, yes.
That's like, awesome.
I already have ideas. Let's sit down. And then it just snowballs. And like, that's the best kind of collaboration.
That's fucking great, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I love how you're having that experience, too. Have you ever read Rebel Without a Crew?
No.
Yeah.
But I've heard of that.
He talks about it a lot. Like, Robert Rodriguez, that's kind of how he formed the whole El Mariachi crew, and that whole idea was that he just, you know, he met his actors first and was like, this guy's got to be in a movie. And then they all liked action stuff, so he was like, fuck it, I'm going to create an action movie.
For $8,000.
Well, yeah, back then, I know. Yeah.
Like,
on film, too, though, but even that came with, like, a lot of, like, trial and error of, like, trying to, like, you know, work out the scenes. But, like, the book is, like, him making it, like, in diary format, talking about the production days and talking about, like, how he started and how it culminated into what it is, and then festivals. And it was a very special time frame. I've gone
period of time, or
just you're never gonna get anything quite like that ever again.
Yeah.
No. But in terms of like what he was doing and how he was doing it, like it's pretty groundbreaking for, you know, I mean even for like the early 90s, but in actually like you know, making it for that small, like you can't really do anything like that now. But because the internet is so hot, you can. It's just you have to also kind of back that up with, you know, the marketing plans and shit like that, and the ad space, and the you know, when you're like scrolling or whatever, and all of a sudden something pops up sponsored, right? Like that's what the fucking game is now.
I've had to make those for work.
Like, I have to. Me too. Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, I have to do it for the podcast. I was just thinking about it. Like, I finally have enough capital to do it eventually, but like in smaller increments at a time. But yeah, no, that's the hustle and the whole thing. And you know, most people, like, when they're just like coming into this too, especially like from a filmmaking standpoint, they want to like copy all these guys. You know, Christopher Nolan, Tarantino, like, when I was in, oh God, there were so many conversations of like, I want to make it like a Tarantino. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't just happen, you know? And these conversations were like mind-numbing of how, you know what I mean?
Well, it's like the actor version of that is like, whose career do you see yourself having? And it's like, you don't fucking know. Like...
Adam Driver, you know,
it's like oh, I seem, you know, it's like, well, it does, because that could be, there's so many factors. There's also the stuff that you're actually going to pursue and be best suited at. So
I know, and if somebody asks that, I'm just gonna be like, I'm taking your job. Like, that's basically it. Like, yeah, in 10 years, your job is mine.
I'm really happy that like it isn't a bunch of white boys from suburbs that are going to film school now. Like,
that's a good point.
I think it's this stuff that I just went to. My friend Meredith had a recent screening of her short Overturned, and it's an entirely female cast and crew. Oh, wow. And like, we went to a screening night that was all female crewed and created films, and it was like, yeah, we need to see more of this. Like, this is...
Yeah, no, that sounds actually really cool. Like, an interesting experience.
And that's just, like, gender. Like, there it is, like...
But I know what you mean, though. Like, yes. Yeah. It's like... but you know what, though? Like, everyone is different. I mean, you've seen The Substance, right?
Not yet.
Oh, my God. Meredith is going to fucking kill you.
Yeah. No, this last, like, the last 8 or 9 months was really hard for me to get away and, like, watch movies. Because I had, like... I would have like one day off, and usually that was like a laundry, grocery, writing.
No, dude, The Substance is wild, and it's really interesting on how if you were to give a man, you know, that type of like, nobody else could have made it but her, you know, and also if you were to give that project to a guy, it would be kind of a little like not the same. It wouldn't feel the same. It wouldn't have the same kind of like desperation and then the gratifying explosion at the end where it's like all crescendos into this beautiful, like almost like orchestral thing, and then it just goes off the rails completely, which is fantastic, you know.
I mean, it probably would have been a comedy from the first half of the aughts.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we've witnessed it, you know, thousands of times during the 90s and early 2000s where it was like all men did was take all these stories written by women and fuck them up. And so now it's like, you know, hey, like, it's really cool, the inclusivity of it all. And I really do think that it's all, you know, people who are pissed off about it, it's like they don't understand the idea of a different market approach, you know? Like, it's not, we're not in the same market. You and I, maybe, but I'm more olive skinned and I'm more ethnically ambiguous. You're white. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a difference of like even that subtle difference. It's like the roles that you get are going to be completely different. The style of even the style of movies, but the company you keep of people when you're going to these festivals, they're also going to be different, you know. Absolutely. And we're not all going to have the same opinions on this, that, or the other thing. But that's why the festival circuits are important, and I feel like they're also kind of, with more scamming festivals, they're diminishing in popularity a little bit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Have you been subject to a few of those?
Oh, I mean, like,
because I've been screwed over by
if I'm getting a DM from a film festival, it's garbage. I'm deleting it straight off. It's not like the Groucho Marx, like, you know, don't join the club if they'd have you as a member thing, but it's like it's like, okay, like this isn't real. And it does sour you on.
So true. It's so true.
Festivals they're not the only answer. For a while, that was like, I mean, if you make a $10 million feature,
good for networking.
Like, you should do if you have a good quality thing, try to get it into like the best in-person festival you can, where you can go and hobnob.
Yeah.
But like, when we did Quake Proofing, I got into like 17 festivals, so and they were all, I chose them. It was like anything with a low, that wasn't a scam, but like a low to no budget category. I was like and like it was just like official admission. I was like, okay, great, cool. Like, it doesn't really mean anything. It was kind of a joke.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked that and within that, of course, like there were some awards. Like Meredith got a best acting award. We got like a best acting duo award.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's like super fun.
Yeah.
And like so and there are, and it was very clear which ones were run by a team of people, which ones were run by like 2 people in different countries. Like,
oh wow, yeah, interesting.
And it's like, that's like, you know, I don't. And I'm sure there are other ones out there that are run by like bots,
dude,
and scammers.
When I was submitting Destination Hollywood, I ran into a couple of them, and I had already like submitted to them, but I just wanted to see what would happen. Of course, they didn't get into the ones that were run by bots. I even sent a whole thing out with like the posters and a whole like, you know, this is what the movie's about. Yeah, press kit, you know. And the guy was like, literally sends me an email that doesn't say hello. He just goes, "What? No hello? No thank you? Don't ever email me about this again." And that was it. And that was how, and I was like, I wrote back, "Oh, I thought you were a film festival." You know what I mean? I thought you were actually legit, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of those out there. Thankfully, it only happened like maybe once. And, you know, my whole kind of thing about, you know, joining festivals is kind of like dwindling a little bit. You know, I'm not really as into the idea as I used to be. I don't think that, like, again, I think that everything's just on social media. You know, on YouTube. YouTube is just one of the best outlets. It's the most, like, take your hint from a comedian, right? Like, you listen to podcasts, right?
Oh, yeah.
How often do you get a comedian on a podcast nowadays that says, "Hey guys, come check out my special. It's on YouTube, you know, streaming for free on YouTube."
Yeah.
Why are they doing that? Because they can't get the Netflix deals. Okay. So then let's extrapolate this. What does this mean? Are more people watching YouTube? Duh. That's kind of what it goes down to.
Like, the whole, I forget, someone was explaining this, like, there's this Nickelodeon show that it started on YouTube to get people to watch the season of that and go like, oh, the rest of it's going to be on, it was like a snatch and grab or whatever, but like the rest of it's going to be on Nickelodeon, but like they know the kids are going to be on YouTube. We know the YouTube music is crushing it.
What do you think I was just playing earlier? You know, yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, it is really a good. And you find so many bands, you know, because it's not like, I mean, through SoundCloud too. Like, it doesn't matter like where, but like as far as like the presence of YouTube, it is like all I really watch. It's all my fucking roommate watches too. Like, that's all we do is just consume hours of YouTube content. It's insane.
And it also like it bridges, I think now, almost all the generations, like, because I'm sorry, I cannot get into TikTok. Like, I love stupid TikToks and I love reels and sharing them with my friends and stuff,
but as far as you posting them, you're not doing it. I
should, you know, if I should all over myself for a moment, I should get on TikTok and start doing that. But like, but YouTube it's getting Gen Alpha, it's getting Gen Z, it's getting the millennials, it's getting Gen X. It has been around now for 20 years. It's ubiquitous. It's going to be around for a while, and it's not vertical. It allows you to still make a recognizable formatted thing, right? And that's why I like it. And
no, I think that it still has its place. I mean, I think of it like public broadcasting, you know, but like Wayne's World style.
Hell yeah.
You know, that's kind of how I'm thinking of it, where it's like you can do, but it's like the area to fail, really. Like, I don't really know, like, other than my game plan is really like I filmed these and then I post them onto YouTube, and I also take the you know, short clips. When I have time, I'll make them into like 3 stacks of short clips each, just to kind of like help the algorithm kind of like, you know, collaborate with us and also get eyeballs on multiple different, you know, pages or whatever the fuck have you, right? But it's still fucking grind. It's not easy. None of this shit is easy, because then it's data management. That's what we really learned in school, was how to film a lot of stuff and then manage that data, and also back it up on hard drives, and then make sure you're not ready to delete the video files until the whole thing is done with, God, and it's just a fucking slog, This is why I'm like, I like editing, but I don't love it that much. Sure. And I'm so backlogged on so many things. That's just the way that it goes, right?
Have you been able to use AI to help streamline anything?
Yes and no, but you know what though? It's not that easy, because you kind of need all the ducks in a row. Like it won't work with these two cameras because their codecs are very different, but it will if I had two GH5s going off at the same time, right? So it's like it's smart in the way that it works really well when it has the right tools for it. Or when it like recognizes the same tools, but like it's one of those things too where even that has its limits for me right now. Right. I don't even think AI is really the answer for a lot of things. I think that people are trying to not work for a living, and they're trying to make their lives too convenient. But you never really get anywhere with that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, because you can't have that in this world. You can't have like, you need some sort of wonderment. Otherwise we're never gonna build anything cool anymore. The fact that people come out to fucking Hollywood is because they have had your Clark Gables and your Lucille Balls running the show at one point, and they had this infrastructure that was like a fucking machine, and you had multiple thousands of people working. Now it's like, forget it, dude. The international markets alone are nuts, and then you get bogged down in all this other bullshit. We don't have to go into there. But like,
I want to get bogged down.
No, but like, I mean, well, again, boil it down. It's up to us to create the stuff that we need. You know what I mean? Like, it's still up to us. But I don't know what's gonna happen in the next. You know what I mean? All I do know is that people are fucking, their knee-jerk reactions are crazy. And just like, I don't know. I always tell people, like, don't be like that. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine, There's no other place I would rather be personally. I don't know about you, but...
I'm the same. Like, I grew up knowing, like, this was, like, LA for me was a symbol. It was a symbol of creativity in the same way that New York is also a symbol of creativity. It's also, New York to me is also a symbol of commerce. But, like, LA was this, like, this is where you would go to do the arts, to find an artistic industry, right? And I think like it's really great where like I would love if if Indianapolis, like, it has tax credits. I would love if they like upped those by $100 million or something crazy. But like, this is kind of the place where it's not you have to be here. You can do whatever you want anywhere else. But like, I'm
you
good
should
with
be here. Yeah. I think if you want to make movies, it's like either LA or New York. There's art scenes happening in both spots. I don't know. I'm just tired of people being like, because like traveling,
catastrophizing.
Yeah, I mean, they make it seem like it's the end of the fucking world. Yeah, I'm tired of that.
I'm so sick of it. I'm like, AI is gonna be the and some of it is, I'm now in the last like 2 or 3 years, I'm just like, oh no, this title is clickbait.
You want to hear
it? May be from a major publication, but it's clickbait. Yeah.
I got a great story for you. So the other day, we wanted to do this a couple of days ago, and I had my fucking dentist appointment, right? So I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there, and I'm reading the flick, and literally she goes up to me, and she's like, oh, what are you reading? And I was like, oh, it's a play. She goes, oh, what's it about? And I told her, and the more I told her, the more I got into it. I was like, it's a nice little quirky dark comedy, but it's pretty depressing, and characters are all depressing, and but they're working like weird shitty 9 to 5 they don't want to work in, blah blah blah. And she goes, oh, do we need another one of that? And I was like, what? And she goes,
this person did.
And she goes, ever since I got into Audible. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's cool to have like books on. I was like, I have a friend of mine who narrates a lot of books, and she goes, hate to say it, but his job's going to be taken by AI. And I was like, and your job is any safer? How? Like, I don't know if your job is as safe as my job, because we're in entertainment and you're in a professional market that people need you. Congratulations. But guess what? Robots are more efficient.
I was going to say, robots
are way more efficient.
Like, there are so many things that it's the whole, like, the robot doesn't miss what the actual human does. It's like,
I think, we as people are in for a world of hurt. But like, because we're just like doing things and we're trying to be like at our convenience, but we forget that the nuanced approach is to learn from the creations and have the creations learn along with us, like guiding us along the way, right? Because we always thought that it'd be like the fucking Jetsons. At least I did. Maybe I was just a little too idealistic. You know what I mean? Like, you live alongside tech. You don't try to overcome tech or have tech overcome you. And I think that's just a different conversation.
I think, well, it's like you either have the Wall-E universe or you have the Jetsons.
Exactly.
And like the reality is like it's somewhere in the middle, but with like just a smidgen of
We're so Wall-E.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't like to catastrophize because in a different vein, like all of these tech innovations, like it's also going to help us health wise. Like my mom calling me today to be like, how much creatine should I take? Like, I was like, you could have like thrown that into Gemini or something, or like you could, and she could have found out from just doing a quick search. Yeah. I was like, yeah, like, all of the democratization of information, there's misinformation, but like, if we have an AI, like more or less a neutral platform for making things available, like that is going to be a net gain. And like, so I think the
robots are going to kill us before we even have an opportunity. Honestly, like,
that's why you got to say please. You got to say that was a great idea, but what if we did? Like,
no, literally, it's so
use your
funny.
Soft skills.
Everyone I know who uses ChatGPT coddles it, and I'm like, the fuck are you doing? No. I'm like, how? I'm like, what? But then they're getting better answers and better results.
Oh god.
And I'm like, so it's basically like a person, but a virtual relationship, and that's where we're heading, right? Virtual relationships. So we got to market that quick. You know what I mean? You got to be on top of that.
This makes me realize I haven't done a good check-in with my AI yet. I should really see how their last 6 months have been.
I mean,
see where they see themselves going the next 6 months.
Right.
If there's any way to upskill them.
Are you asking AI like to do everything for you?
No, I'm not. Yeah. I use it for like what are police codes? Like, okay, what's the West Coast police code for a hit and run? Like, I use it the same way I used to use Google, and now Google is Gemini, so I just go to Gemini and do
Please tell me you're doing all that for writing purposes.
Yeah, I don't do it for like I don't do it for like, I don't know what working in fitness, like people were using it for like, I just AI'd my whole meal plan, and I went and I was
that's pretty cool.
That's legit. Like that is an excellent use of AI.
That is actually really interesting.
Compiles everything, but like, I mean, most of my time is spent writing, and so like that's kind of what I'm using it for.
That's a good way to do it though, honestly. You know,
less ideation, more of like, okay, what are some circumstances that would, like, these two people might be in, if one person's from here, one person's from here, that might end up in the other person having to do blank. And it was like, you end up just answering your own question as you're doing it. By the time that you hit enter and it returns the it answers your prompt, you're kind of like, oh yeah, I would have gotten there eventually. But it sped up the process a little bit, and it gave you a bunch of, and it's like doing that Wikipedia game where you go 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever. And
right.
It takes you, and you can go and you can see how quickly you can pass through different things.
Yeah.
So like, it's a very fruitful process, and it's also good for like for our Under Pressure GoFundMe. I remember like Kayla had to work, and I'm like sitting and I'm like ready, and I'm like thinking about our director's statement, and I write down, and I'm spending about an hour and a half writing things out. He's like, all right, let's just plug this into AI, and I was like, of course. So he plugged in all the stuff we had, which is like the synopsis, the log line, and he was just like, give us a prompt. He just made a prompt, and I was like, wow. Oh my god, I was like, that was like 5 minutes. Some of that shit. Just perfect example, like, work smarter, not harder, and you can still work as hard as you want to on the things that really matter.
Right.
But the things that are like,
a bio or whatever.
Yeah, dotting your T's, crossing your I's.
I definitely I've used it for like stuff on my resume as well, like my regular resume, my personal bios,
Yeah.
statements, things like that. But like other than that, though, I feel like it's good for writer's block situations too. I feel like, but I don't know if I would trust it to do anything else other than that. And that was the big topic on the whole like contracts and everything when we went on strike. And like even now, I feel like it's being abused really heavily.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't know if you've seen like the videos where it's just like Bible characters coming out and like what if like Bible characters were influencers kind of thing.
No.
It is fucking bizarre. And one was actually really funny because it was Moses in the middle of the Red Sea, and he goes, "Well, you know what they say, just keep on trucking, keep on working, like that kind of shit, But it's literal smut, but it's funny, you know what I mean? But
it's funny because if you have like the
oh, don't worry about that. That's
If you're just looking, it's funny if like you have the right mindset going in of like this is gonna be funny, but it's like. Like when I've done it, it isn't for ideation. It's more of like, okay, I've boxed myself into a corner, quite literally. How would someone get out of this situation? But like, if you were to say like, how do I end this act? It's going to be garbage.
No, absolutely, yeah. Because like whatever it's telling you, it's not going to be as good as the idea that you're giving it yourself, and so that's where it's just like, okay, and time the fuck out.
I mean, I don't remember where the cutoff is, but like they're feeding it all these scripts. At a certain point, they had to end it.
Right.
I think that was the agreement, and then we have evolved in our storytelling as well. So
no, I mean that's such a crazy fucking world. Like we've look at Tarantino's stuff. Look at like even other people. I mean, they've all like evolved in their craft. Now it's like sky's the fucking limit. Like any A24 movie. It's like fucking wonderful. It's cool to watch because it's just like, oh man, people are going off the fucking rails. So, I mean, with your projects, real quick, and then we'll like wrap it up. But like with your stuff, is there ever like a question of like how far you can go or like how long you have in terms of like much time frame? I don't know, before it gets too difficult.
In terms of like production or audience attention
just
span,
shooting something, just like coming up with a concept to completion kind of thing, That's
a good question. So like Kale and I, when we come together to write some things, and it's basically it has been like, let's do this as good as we can, as soon as we can. It's like, we have this idea, let's strike while the iron's hot.
Right.
With our own personal projects, like those things range. Like he's got features. And we both have scripts that we've been fiddling with for years. And then we have ones that like, I wrote this in a month. And you're like, holy shit. So it's, it really ranges. But I think when you have a group, nothing's worse than like, hey, I know we wanted to film it like this year, but I'm getting married. So what if we... like, are you around in like 2027? Like, you can't keep people on the hook for that long. So
seriously.
Like when we have something, it's been like a couple days. All the stuff that I've shot has been a 1 or 2 day shoot. Maybe
that's
3.
Not bad though. That's good. If you can get it all done in 2 days, that's more than enough time. But yeah,
and that is just because of the scale. That is probably just out of necessity. Like, I'd be fine with. I think it's just also in just respecting people's time. Like it's like Meredith shot a feature recently that this past year in the last like year that she did hear about like a year or two ago, and like but she did it, and it's hard. Like it's I'm sure that director wanted to do it a little bit sooner, but they probably had to get the funds. They probably had to get the location. And then there's all the other stuff. But it is harder. The longer of a runway you have, like, somebody can come in and just put up a wall in between there.
That one day you did of Destination Hollywood was literally like, after that, it was just like, whenever we can, and it took years to finish.
Dude, I was so impressed with that. Like, we had it was such a bonkers day because like
it was awful.
It was just awful. Like we're shooting outside the LGBTQ center. Oh nope, and like it was just we did I think maybe 2 or 3 takes.
It was the Ivar Theater.
Oh yeah. It was like we were just in the middle of Hollywood, and it was just like, what is this gonna be? I've read the script, And then, but like, dude, hats off. It is one of the,
thanks, man.
most beautifully shot things I've seen.
Really?
Like,
oh wow, you like it's. Oh, thanks, man.
No, it's like, yeah, I was so impressed with like, you got us to care about these like, admittedly kind of sad people. Like these characters, like it's the whole premise is like,
that's what I do.
I was like, just from a cinematography standpoint, I was just like even just looking at stills, I was kind of like refreshing my mind this morning, and I was just like, God, this was so good.
No, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, that was definitely a huge, I don't know, just work in progress.
Sure.
You know, it took a long fucking time to like nail it down. Nobody wanted to finish it. That was the fucked up thing. Like we'd literally like, I needed ADR. Everyone had gone on to their other lives, and then we couldn't. I literally had to fight tooth and nail, and then get like different sound clips from other sources and Artlist and a bunch of other places just to make it work. And we made it work, but like by the skin of the fucking teeth, you know. But that's what it is like to be an indie filmmaker. And also, it's been in festivals. No one's ever played the whole thing in festivals. So I'm trying to have a screening, like a special in-person screening for it.
Yeah.
Because I am writing part 3, and that one's going to be really more obtuse and a little bit more fucked up than what you just saw.
Cool.
And it's actually partially based on a true story, but we're not going to get into that because it's just like, it's kind of like the politics are very frayed.
Yeah.
But other than that, though, it's like it wasn't easy putting that together. We did it literally through COVID. We started in 2019, and then did it through COVID. And the scene we did with you was like 2021.
No, it was July 2020.
It was July 2020. Wow.
No, because I remember vividly. There was,
and then
nobody is outside.
Legitimately finish it 4 years later. Yeah. And honestly, too, what a great window. Lightning in a bottle. You know, I had the time of my life putting that thing together, but it was a grind, and it was hard, and it was probably the hardest thing I ever had to make. So, but I learned a lot from it. I think that for me, it was just, I want to get it done because I'm working with great people, and I don't want their time to be wasted. That's where I thought about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then it just became, okay, we got to finish this thing. Like,
Absolutely.
we have to finish this thing now. And I did, but it fucking wasn't easy.
I mean, from my perspective, that's like, my humble perspective, that's like what I would want every director to be thinking. Like, I've got all these people, I'm so grateful to have them on my thing. Like, they're being so generous with their time, whether or not, you know, they're getting paid or getting X amount. Like, let's just make the best thing.
Exactly.
Like, make sure everybody's okay and having a good time and make a good thing.
Yeah, do it for the reels, do it for the, you know. Because, I mean, really, like, at the end of the day, like, I have laurels for festivals. Has it ever properly screened at one? No. And I think people are actually legitimately afraid of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, press like that is better than nothing at all, you know? So, but it's a slow burn. And, you know, I'm just happy that, like, more people watched it other than the first feature. So we're only going up here, you know what I mean? Like, more people watched that, I think, within the few weeks that it came out, that I was, like, pushing hard on Instagram than anything else. And I think because it had a festival push, they wanted to see the whole thing. And the fact that they could see it on YouTube for free, which was like another big push, you know. But I think that, like, you know, I'm going to start taking stuff, make miniseries out of them. You know, sky's the limit, man. Yeah. You know, and we're just a bunch of fucking goons running around here, right?
As you said earlier, just a bunch of guys running around Hollywood with equipment. It's like,
yeah, no, that's what I always imagined, man. So, and we're doing it. So, but yeah, dude, you got any pluggables, David? You got any like Instagram pluggables, or like your next project you wanna? Because I mean, because you have the pilot you're currently pushing. You know,
we got the GoFundMe for Under Pressure. So if you go to my Instagram at DavidTowne23, you'll see in the link in my bio to our GoFundMe. We're a little over halfway through our budget, which is awesome.
That's great.
And we're shooting in like less than 3 weeks. So it's crazy.
Yeah. How many days?
It's a Just a 2-day shoot.
2-day thing? Cool.
Because Fred, who's generously donated his space, he has employees, he has revenue to make. So like, we graciously have 2 windows over 2 separate days to shoot our day stuff and our night stuff.
Where can people find that again? What's it called?
It's called Under Pressure. So if you Google Under Pressure GoFundMe, you could probably find it. Or if you go to either my Instagram or Kale's or Meredith's Instagram, we're gonna be sharing we'll share a bunch of stuff from it as it gets closer.
What is your Instagram?
David Towne 23, Towne spelled with an E.
Hell yeah.
Fancy.
I always thought it was Towne. I don't know why.
Everybody thinks it's Towne.
That's funny.
I showed up to something and I had a name tag that said David Towley. And I was like, wow. David Tonway is my personal favorite.
Tonway. That's a good one. All right, cool. No, but David, seriously, man, it's great to see you, man.
Thanks,
it's
man.
been, now that I have that in my, 2020, fuck, man. Yeah. It's been too long. But I'm glad you're grinding, dude.
Likewise.
And you're fucking killing it. You look good, man. Just keep going.
Thanks, we're not going anywhere. We got the
exactly. No, we're here to stay, right? We're doing it.